Hello and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, federal government to finance 11% of the 2017 budget with recovered loot. Chief Justice of Nigeria warns judges against using technicalities to obstruct justice. And later on the program, female suicide bomber killed 17 in fresh Borno attacks. I'll be hanging out with Mayor Akipelu, Adeola Yusuf, and Festus Eriye. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Last week, acting President Yemi Osinbajo signed the 2017 appropriation bill into law. It was called the Budget of Recovery, but experts say if the budget is to take Nigeria out of recession, it ought to have been passed much earlier. To douse the tension, Finance Minister Kemi Adeosun said the federal government had enough cash available to immediately commence the execution of key projects and initiatives scheduled for the 2017 fiscal year. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udoma, said the total revenue projected was more than 5 trillion naira, with 11% coming from recovered loots. He said the total revenue projected exceeded the 2016 projection by 30%, with oil revenue projection put at 42% compared to 19% in 2016. Udoma asserted that the funding of the project would now be on project-based release system to curb waste of public funds by ministries, departments, and agencies. Will these budgets do the needed magic? Let me start from you, Festus. Yes. The catch there here now is that 11% coming from recovered loots. Let's classify this recovered loots. Is it those ones that they still have litigation, or those ones that were seen in the unknown money that was seen in an airport, or the NIA, fund? So let's classify it, because I was meant to, I asked earlier and I was told that those ones that is still subject to litigation, yes, that they might not touch it, that the Yakubu and Co.
Yeah. I think the minister was quite clear,
okay,
that what they were banking on to fund that 11% was money they already had, money that was not in litigation. They were not
that had been forfeited to the federal government. Absolutely,
absolutely recovered. They already had it in their purse. So it was not. It's not money that is going through court processes. Okay. So they are so sure that they have cash that will fund.
And 11%.
Yes,
of 7.3 trillion naira.
Yeah, that's a lot.
5 trillion. 11% of 5 trillion.
Yes, that's a lot. And it's unorthodox, because I don't think in the history of Nigeria we've ever had a situation where one of the funding sources for the budget was recovered money, stolen money. You look to taxes, you look to what's coming from the customs, what's coming from crude oil sales and things like that. So this is the first time in here, at least to the best of my knowledge, that I know that Nigeria is funding a chunk of 10% of its budget, a little over 10%, with money that was stolen from.
Because there was a time Lai Mohammed actually told me that, yes, look, that some people were coming quietly to return, yes, monies.
Yes, yes.
As in, please, don't prosecute me, this is what I know about this money. They just return those money. And
yeah, and it's not original. It's not original to Nigeria. I think the current Indian Prime Minister tried the same thing. People, what is the
made
end?
Away with
what is the end that you want? You want to get your money back. Sometimes you can jail somebody and you will not recover the money. So yeah, I think that if the end is to get your money back, it doesn't matter how they go about
like President Buhari said in UK.
So, but I think the important thing is that for the first time in recent Nigerian history, one of the funding sources for the budget is recovered money. And I think you can chalk that down as one of the areas in which this government has been a bit successful.
Adeola, looking at 11% of 5 trillion naira, however you want to look at it, it shows you the quantum, the level of success that have been made by this administration in fighting corruption in one breath. And at the same time, it shows you that they've not even scratched the surface. Because if you are going to use 11% of 5 trillion naira to finance the budget, recovered money,
is a good thing, and is a pointer to the fact that the anti-corruption drive of this government at least has something to show for it. 11% of 5 trillion is into about 500 billion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Damn.
500 billion, if I'm not mistaken. So
that's over a state budget.
So it's
combine
huge.
2-3 states together.
It's huge, and it points to the fact that it will assist the budget to be a surplus budget at the end of the day. But with that, I still have my reservation. But on the level of using recovered loot to fund 11% of that is a very good thing, and if that is reflected on the scorecard of this government, is a good one for the government. Is
this another soundbite, Mayor?
No. I don't think so. I think we criticize this government every time that we don't like the way they are going about their war.
Okay, where are the recovered loot?
No, because if you know this government have been recovering loot since they came in.
Yes.
And if you remember that people at a point was criticizing them to say nobody is telling us the full details of the money that you have, and even government officials could not tell us then. And I think they've taken their time to be able to say, okay, we have enough that we can plug back into the economy, which is very good. Because if we criticize them that they're not fighting the war corruption the right way, they must also commend them that they'll be able to raise enough to be able to help the budget. Because if they didn't plow that 11% back, the other alternative is to go abroad and borrow again. And for them to be able to raise enough, because the money that they are using now is not the money that is in litigation. No, you can't do that, because before you can have control over money, you must have forfeiture from the court. And there's only a few cases that they've had forfeiture. The other ones are settled. But there are a lot of businessmen who were involved in shady deals and inflated contracts that agreed to return money. So those ones we don't need, because there's no
and we don't need to name and shame them.
No, you don't need to do that. Because you don't need to do that, because part of the reasons why some of these people return the money is to say, okay, oh, I was involved in this contract, this is the money. And the way the government look at it, it makes more sense for you to collect that money than to go to litigation, because if that guy used 10% of that money to get good lawyers, you end up not getting that money. So 11% is good. But the only problem that I have is that, yes, the budget is a bit late. If governments can follow up with the promise that they will increase the money for capital projects, then it can still kickstart the economy or make the economy to recover quickly. Because part of the problem is that we don't spend enough money on capital projects. And since the minister said the money is available, I think
they have enough cash to start.
Okay, to do a bit background about the whole project, I mean the budget. What was being signed on June 12 by the acting president, even though there were political talks as to the injection or the pardon by the Senate and by the House of Representatives, I want to believe that Nigeria will still have to do more for the budget to be successful. The reason is that we have a budget of 7.4 trillion. Out of that, there is projected revenue. We are very sure, based on available projection revenue sources, that we'll be able to get 5 trillion. So we still have 2 trillion to source for. They said about 1.2 trillion will be sourced internally, 1.05 trillion will be sourced externally. So, and over 40, precisely 42% of this budget is to be, of that 5 trillion we talked about, is to be sourced from the oil revenue. Nigeria has been in and out of, sourcing funds from oil revenue. But the challenge I think I have with that is that 11%, getting 11% from looted, recovered funds is a very good one. But 42% is a problem now. The reason is that what happened today, I want to use that as an instance. Nigerian budget is benchmarked on 44.5 barrels per day price. $44 per barrel price. Whereas today, the commodity sold for $45.8.
Okay.
So what that will tell you is that the budget is still in a tight corner. I mean, 42% source of that project is still in a very tight corner.
What are you saying? You say it's projected for 44?
No. Government can do that because you see, yes, because why they did that is because the oil price is volatile.
Yes.
So you cannot be sure of what you will get.
Yes.
But at the same time, it has been steady reasonably.
Okay.
It has been over 42 for a long time. So even if it gets to that 45 or it gets slightly below 42, it will make up because by the time it is higher, things will make up. Yeah.
For
Part of the
some time
problem is that
now,
we're now in summer.
relatively
We're in summer. We're in
stable.
summer. There won't be need for energy as much as when we're in winter. So it's like that, and there are some crises. So that's the nature of the thing. But even if at that, because the loan aspect of the budget won't give them problem. The only problem is that this government is getting too many loans, which is not really good for
because we're paying back
future generations. Yes, for future generations. But they can, because for example, the internal loans is so easy to get. People will subscribe. Even our bonds, our external bonds, people will subscribe. We will oversubscribe to it. So they will get the loan. The only problem is the payment part of it, which is a little bit high.
Okay, talking about the $44.5 per barrel. In fact, what we are having today, $45 price today, the last time the crude price sold at that range was last November. Okay. So it shows that there is still a problem. And Nigerian production, Nigeria was excluded from quota cut by OPEC because the country has so many issues. But now Nigeria is doing
September.
Nigeria is doing 1.8 now, 1.8 barrels now. Libya that was exempted is doing better now. You understand me? So there is going to be a glut in the market. And that will definitely affect the price of crude. What President Buhari submitted to the Senate initially through the medium-term projection was $42.5. It was the National Assembly that jacked it up to 44. So I still see a problem in that benchmark.
Okay.
God help Nigeria.
Okay, I want to look at it from the point of view, because in all this, the news there for me is this 11%. Okay. How did we get to the level that, our money is going to be like a national cake that anybody can take? We run a system that is like a free for all. That if you're in government, if you're a civil servant, if you're a director in any ministry, the simplest thing is to become a multi-millionaire. To the extent that you have your mansions littered all over Banana Island, littered all over Maitama, Asokoro, and you have it. And the recovery in cash can be like this. Because he has said that this should be well over 500 billion naira.
I think people playing, public officials playing with public funds is not a new thing. It's not a new thing. Right from the First Republic, we've had cases of...
And we've never thought of building a kind of institution that will curtail this?
What has happened is that it has grown. In the First Republic, politicians were accused of stealing public funds. The scale grew in the Second Republic.
The military came, they accused 10%.
At every point when the military came in, they always accused politicians of stealing. So the scale grew in the Third Republic. In the Second Republic. In the Fourth Republic, he just took on a life of his own under the last administration. And so what you have seen, the scale of the recoveries shows you how bad the situation was, and
because if I ask the EFCC chairman, he will tell me that we've not even touched anything.
No, most people in government, most people who know what's going on, they will tell you that they've only just scratched the surface. And if you know the amount,
not started with NNPC proper.
You just need to do the sum, do the maths. The cases that are in court, the cases, and you find out that there's still a lot of money out there. Now there are areas that they've not even gone into. By the time they turn their focus into the oil industry, you're going to see a lot being exposed. So I think that what has happened is that in 1999 when Obasanjo came in, he realized that we had a big problem, and he wanted to address this issue of people stealing public funds. So the first bill he came up with was this anti-corruption bill that gave rise to the EFCC. And what he did, the bill that he presented, was a carbon copy of what they had in Singapore. Very, very draconian, very harsh. And those guys in the National Assembly, they took one look at it and said, no.
It was watered down.
If we pass this bill, we are going to be the first victim. So they watered it down. By the time he came back to Obasanjo, it was not, he could not recognize it. But he had to take what he could get. And
just to start something.
Yeah, so you give me a bit of credit. He started the process of trying to get back some of these, check some of these excesses. But I would say that for the first time in recent memory, I would say that the Buhari administration has been the first one that has really gone out there to really take on powerful figures. We just saw the
Mayor. I wanted to say I've been following this chief of defense staff case, Alex Bade, and is it Bade or Amoso? There's a particular one that's
the director of finance. Bade is the chief of defense staff. Okay,
there was a particular one, maybe is air staff, maybe former chief of air staff, that he had a standing order. Immediately the salary of the Navy comes, Air Force comes,
yes.
500 million naira out of it every month.
My problem,
every month, for several years.
It is hard to say this. I think that we may not be able to solve that problem, because if there is no punishment for crime, it encourages people to commit crime. And the way things are situated, we don't have enough punishment for people who loot government funds.
Nigerians are not even worried.
Yeah, no. We are
listening to people saying that bring back our corruption.
No, it's just because
that we want the corrupt system, leave it like the way it is.
No, why people? Because no, it is because things are very difficult now, and the economy at a time was slightly better during Obasanjo and the early part of Jonathan's government. So that's why people are saying that. But left to me, I think that we have to find a way, and democracy cannot allow that, because people can always go to court. If they get good lawyers, they can always frustrate you. But we must find a way to punish people who loot government property. Until we do that, we cannot stop it. Because even when people know that if I steal 1 billion naira and I spend 300 million out of it or 400 million out of it to get a good lawyer, and I can get away with it, they will steal that 1 billion. If people know that, look, if I steal 500 million, I steal 100 million, I'm going to pay severely for this, they will not do it. In China, when even corruption, taking bribe is capital punishment in China. The head of our equivalent of Nigerian NAFDAC collected $50,000 bribe, 50,000. He was executed for $50,000. Exactly. That is what a Nigerian official will dash a girlfriend. It's not an issue. But in China, because so if you do that, some people
executed.
Yes, because some people did a product that was contaminated and killed some kids, and he gave approval for that. And the only money he collected was $50,000. He was executed for it. So until we find a way of punishing people severely, then people will continue to do it. We have to find a way. If you remember, everything that happens in Nigeria is happening in Ghana. Until Rollins just came one day. Yeah, it's not good, but he did some crazy things in Ghana, and it helped Ghana to today. It's not as if there's no corruption in Ghana, but we don't hear the kind of corruption that happens in Nigeria. It's impossible it won't happen there.
I think I have my first caller. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I think the issue of corruption we're talking about,
yes.
In Nigeria, there's no way we can fight corruption, because this democracy the same are practicing. Seriously, it's giving room for the looters. Because if any effort is being made to fight, maybe to prosecute any public officer or any public officer, they will hide under the disguise of democracy. Like what day before yesterday, I was watching Professor Ife Sage, he was saying, public office holders will steal 1 billion naira. Out of that 1 billion naira, 200 or 300 will go to the lawyers. So what do you think? Automatically there's no way, because if a prosecutor, if a public officer will tell him he has the right to a lawyer, then definitely he will take thousands of billions, and lawyers will go and say about it. Let's this what call him Evans. I'm telling you, you'll be shocked to see the number of lawyers that will come out to back him, because they know what will come out from that. It's fruitful. So to me, if you want to fight corruption, I think let's keep the democracy alive.
Thank you, Sadiq. Thank you for your contribution, Sadiq. Gentlemen, it's...
No, I just want to respond to something
okay,
that
what Mayor said.
You see, Mayor, we cannot run away from dealing with that issue within the context of democracy. There was a time when you could get away with the kind of thing that Rawlings did in Ghana. Yeah. And the danger with what Rawlings did is that you cannot control it. It was arbitrary.
Yeah.
You just, so it must still be within the context of the law. You see, you will
Do
lose.
we need special courts?
No, it should be within the context of the law. But I'm saying that we need like a special court or new laws, because like you said, if you allow people who are part of the problem to determine the nature of the law, they will not pass a law that they know
like
will
you said,
their own existence.
I even believe that we have what we even have on the books is even enough to deal with these issues. You know I say that.
They always get their bill.
You know I say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're going to say you need something harsher, maybe you're talking about a death sentence. You gave the example of somebody who was executed for. We have death penalties on our books. It didn't stop an Evans from emerging. We have death sentences. It has not stopped armed robbery.
That's different. Armed robbery is different because armed robbery, you see, somebody that is involved in armed robbery is going for broke. You understand? Yes. A rich man doesn't think like that. Yes. Most of the people that steal government funds are the elites. The elites don't think like that. They don't want to die. If I have 10 billion, for example, if I steal 10 billion and I know that I'm going to die, I will not steal that 10 billion.
I believe that.
That is a civil servant, for example, a top civil servant, or the director of finance or account somewhere. If he knows that there is death penalty for stealing this money, he will not steal it. He won't even touch it.
Again, that would be an assumption that
no, it won't.
That has to be tested.
It is the masses. It is the masses that the masses. You see, the masses have this kamikaze thing that okay, death penalty for armed robbery. At least, even if it is only 10 years or 5 years that I enjoy, let me go. I've done my fee. A rich man doesn't think like that.
You see, I believe that one of the things for the rich man you're talking about, for the elites, what has happened is that this part of the process, part of what comes out is naming and shaming. So somebody is taken to court, you are found with 10 billion, you have stolen 10 billion naira, you are taken to court. In the whole process, you are convicted, you get 5 years, your reputation is destroyed.
No, I think that one is now a natural thing now. They're not scared of that again.
No, they are not.
Parading them in front of camera. It's no longer a big deal again.
You cannot do anything in Nigeria.
Absolutely,
you have forgotten there was one IG. I don't want to.
There was one politician that actually asked me in court that, have I taken my shots? Ayo, have you taken your shots? Do you want me to pose in front of the camera?
Yeah, in actual fact, what I think is making us to just get 11% of resources to fund the budget is because of the naming and shaming that you're talking about. Okay. If you observe very well, you will see that EFCC has been doing more of media trial. And tell me how many of them are. These are the people that contributed these resources that they will use to fund 11%. Are the people that don't want their hair to be used to build coconut. They are the people that don't want their hair to be mentioned. So I want to, on the basis of that, advise that EFCC should do more. But the loopholes that I've just identified in the budgetary projection from crude oil could be overcome if more works are done to recover more loot. Because I do understand that we have not even started.
The 11%, let me give you an example, somebody. I won't because it won't be fair on the person.
Okay.
Desiani gave an oil contract to 2 gentlemen, right? Who were supposed to run as professionals, run oil well on behalf of Nigeria, and then pay rent on it. They did. They were not experts in oil. They just established the company because they knew the minister. They ran the oil well. They never paid the government. Instead, they were buying jets and buying houses all over the place. They were buying all the place. Now, one of them was arrested. He returned money back to government. You understand? So, what I'm saying is that if I still, let's say I stole 10 billion naira and government collected 2 billion or 4 billion from me, what have I lost? Nothing. I stole 10 billion. You collected 5 from it. Because you see, the problem with this plea bargain thing is that people will say that, okay, let me pay back. Let me pay back. I will just say, okay, how much do you want to pay back? You understand? How much do you want to pay back? You understand? And you will say, okay, I have 2 billion that I'll pay back, 3 billion that I'll pay back. We'll get excited, at least we've collected 3 billion from this one. But this man stole 100 billion from us. So if you give us 5 billion, you've not given us anything. It's our money. So we have to do something more than saying that, oh, we'll shame you.
No, obviously.
A lot of people don't have shame. They don't have sense of shame. So what is shame?
No, you see.
But let me tell you something. If that man knows that, that's what I'm saying, that democracy makes it difficult for us to be able to do those things. Because if there's a law to say, okay, if you steal our money, you are going to rot in this jail until you pay every dime that you have stolen. They will pay every dime. A rich man does not want to be in prison for 2 years, 3 years. If we agree to say, okay, let me return that money, that's the same thing. Because you see, fear is the key that unlocks the pocket of the rich. That was what Evans was using. Evans kidnapped somebody, put the person in one ingado, make the guy uncomfortable, and say, pay me $1 million. That's a lot of money.
And we hold him for like 6 weeks.
For 6 months, 3 months, 6 months. The guy will pay that $1 million because he will say, look, I don't want to die here. Let me just pay this bastard this $1 million and live here.
Yeah, you have a point that
yes.
if you make the punishment more severe.
Yes, the punishment should be more severe. Yes.
But I'm also saying that, look, you can still make shame very powerful. Deola pointed out something. He said that the bulk, what you have that are using to fund this budget, has come largely from people who didn't want, please don't just mention my name. Let me just hand over.
Voluntarily.
I just want to.
Some of them immediately Buhari came in, and they know that it was a new sheriff in town.
Shame can still be very, very powerful. Just as powerful.
The banks did that. They mentioned the Central Bank mentioned names of those who are owing banks.
I think I have another caller. Thank you for joining us at Deniro from Oyo State.
Good evening.
Good evening, Nero.
Yeah, you guys are doing fantastic work there.
Oh, we lost Nero. Thank you.
Okay.
You know, just try and
okay, for me, I would advocate carrot and stick. Carrot, name it and shame me. Name it and shame me may be under that, and stick will be. I don't want to believe that we don't have a law that can decisively deal with corruption.
No, we
don't.
We don't.
We don't.
Okay, wait.
That is why EFCC always do play back game. What is the law?
The problem is not law. The problem is not law. The problem is
there are loopholes in those laws.
Yes, tell me one. Give me one law that doesn't have loopholes.
Okay. Anything to do with corruption all over the world. Anything to do with corruption all over the world. There are loopholes because it's a blue collar crime.
Yes.
It's a blue collar crime. The people that are making the laws, they are involved in that kind of crime.
There is no crime. There is no crime.
Most of this trial, most of these cases, some of them they've not even got into trial stage.
And you have read that on pages of the paper.
That will look for everything to frustrate.
Very good.
Thank God for the administration of Criminal Act of 2015. That
you keep on saying this. You keep on saying, get a good lawyer, get a good lawyer. Yeah. And you see, and that is maybe that is where we should also focus. If the guy who is on trial can get a good lawyer, what stops the government with all
getting a better one? A better one.
Yes, you can get a good lawyer. You can get a good lawyer. You can get a good lawyer.
Yes. They are not well funded right now.
That if it is a blue collar crime, you understand?
Yes.
You will go to court.
Yes.
It is bailable.
Yes.
So you give me bail.
I can
you
even
understand? The man will come and look
for free. I can even recommend somebody for you.
I think
right now Ozekome is priding himself that look, he has won the EFCC back to back. I think 11 times. What stops anybody from employing the service of Ozekome?
We have to look for a way. We have to look at that law and see how we can tighten the law. Because, like I said, the problem is that we have to put pressure on National Assembly to do the needful, because they will not agree to that. But we should allow them to do that. What I'm saying is that the only way you can deter people is when they know that they will be punished for something. An average person, not even a rich man, if they know that they can get away with anything, they will do it and get away with it.
Yeah, okay, you see, the key again is where there's political will. It's not as if they have not been there. There was EFCC under Jonathan, EFCC under Yaradua, EFCC under Obasanjo. But this is the first time that somebody is using the EFCC to get this kind of results. And it's because of political will. So if
which results?
That's
our problem. Is that, you see, our problem is that we enjoy tokenism. When somebody gives you, it's just like a governor. A governor who was elected to provide basic things for his people. The governor will not do some natural things, paying salaries, doing boreholes, and he will be celebrating it. And everybody will say he has tried. Somebody that's supposed to do something, you pay salary of workers. You said you have done something. Are you not supposed to pay salary of workers? You stole our money. You returned only a fraction of it. You said we have tried. My own problem is that how many people have been convicted for these crimes?
Okay.
Almost none.
Let me take this caller. Let me quickly take this caller. Thank you for joining us.
My own problem is that how many people have been convicted for this crime?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, thank you for joining us. London.
Yes. Hello, sir.
Yes, go ahead with your contribution.
I'm calling you from Jos.
All right, go ahead with your contribution.
Hello, sir. My name is Nandan. I'm calling you. Yes, I'm calling you from Jos.
Go ahead.
My contribution is that
He's listening to the feedback.
Okay.
Hello? London. London has been listening to himself. Well, let me quickly take this break. When we return, Chief Justice of Nigeria warns against judges using technicalities to obstruct justice. Please stay with us. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this time out. Welcome back. President Buhari has once been quoted as saying that the judiciary was a big clog on the wheel of his anti-corruption fights. In the last 2 years, some judges have been tried for trading justice for cash. Last October, the Department of State Services arrested some judges accused of corruption. But since the earthquake in the justice sector, the judiciary has been working really hard to mend its battered image. On Monday, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onohe, cautioned judges against allowing technicalities to stand in the way of dispensing justice. Now, he said the use of alternative dispute resolution would engender timely disposition of cases and encourage judges to adopt it. But will this change anything? Talking about technicalities, gentlemen, we have a situation whereby somebody was said to have used a red biro to write in a place that is meant to be, use a blue biro, and on technical ground, the matter, they will not even go to the merit of the matter, and it will be thrown out of court. Some, they will not even go to the substantive matter, and they will just enter no case submission.
No case submission.
Like we experienced during the trial of the Senate President. Festus.
Again, it's a difficult one because technicalities are part of the law. And it is the job of a lawyer to defend his client at any point in time. The job of a lawyer is not to pass judgment on his client. So even if you are a murderer, your lawyer tries to get the best deal he can for you. And he will exploit everything. He will exploit the technicalities, he will exploit everything that he can exploit, If it's going to be before a jury, he will study the jurors and see how he can work on them, look for the weak points there and get you the best deal possible. So I really don't understand what the CJ was talking about. Because you get to the point where if you ignore those technicalities and say, okay, I'm jumping over the technicalities, I just want to go to the merit of the matter. Down the line, maybe at the appeal leg, it can still come up. Somebody can use those things that you ignored to shoot down the. So I will say that, look, those who are prosecuting should make sure that they get a good job before dragging people to court. No matter how excited you are that you have caught somebody or you have a good case, you really need to do some kind of mock trying before you even go into the jury process. Otherwise, you're not just going to dismiss the technicalities and just say, okay, this case has so much merit. Let's forget about technicality. It is part of the law. It is part of the law. It is part of what lawyers deal with. So I don't know what
the Chief Justice was referring to. Jola, my lawyer friend actually told me that, look, this social media blazed about Evans and everything, that if Mr. Evans gets a very good lawyer, a damn good lawyer, that's all the expose that the police are so excited about, because you see pictures of even police officers taking selfies with Evans and everything, that if you get a damn good lawyer, that You might walk a free man.
That
law does not have anything to do with
sentiments
or emotions or how you feel.
Absolutely, I agree with that sentiment, but it should be a lesson for a government to get a better lawyer if Evans will get a good lawyer. Technicality, just like we said, is part of the process, and I want to believe, coming from the Chief Justice, Justice of the Federation, shows that he has been part of and parcel of the system, so he understands where the shoe is pinching. So it's better that it's coming from him, and for him to have he's giving the directive to ensure. And it is so funny when you get to know some so-called technicalities or some things that are so flimsy. As at the last count, about 68,000 Nigerians are in prison. We have prison inmates, and the CJ of Nigerian prison said over 50,000 of them, that is 8% of them, are still awaiting trial. So if you look at this, you look at it very well. It's just based on technicalities. Maybe their lawyers don't appear one day, or they want adjournment and all that. So 50,000 people suffering based of being on trial. So coming from the CJ, I think it's a very good thing, a very good development. So, you know, if you want to twine it with what we have discussed earlier, you could see that it is all these rich, quote unquote, men, the big thieves, that are able to fund lawyers to go for that technicalities. I mean, how many of them have been prosecuted? I mean, have been sentenced, so to say. So it still goes back to that to that level. So I want to be in total agreement with the CJ that at least the Nigerian judicial system should do all it could to ensure that at least justice is dispensed, and is dispensed as fast as possible. Yeah.
Mayor,
I don't agree with the CJ.
Okay.
I think CJ is playing politics.
Okay.
I think he's playing politics. It's just political correctness.
Exactly.
What he's saying does not make any sense. It won't work. You cannot stop any judge from looking at technicalities. Cases is about technicalities. That is the reality. The problem with our judiciary is that the judiciary is underfunded. It's an arm of government that is underfunded.
All sectors.
So we need to have more courts. We need to have more judges. We need so that cases can get here, so that you don't need to spend 5 years to do a case. Yes. And for the awaiting trial something, the problem has to do, because I've worked in that environment before. I was as a social welfare officer, so I know part of the problem. And the problem is that majority of the people that are awaiting trial people are just poor people that cannot either meet bail conditions, or they don't even have money. They cannot afford a lawyer and all that. So that's that. Majority of them, you see, if you look at them, is because they are not the elites, people like us. Those ones, yes, they can stay there for some time, but they will always find a way of perfecting their bail. But these people cannot, even if you ask them to bring shorty, they cannot even get a shorty.
Okay.
So that's the problem. So what we need to do about the judiciary is to fund our judiciary better, so that we have more courts, we have more judges, and then they can dispense justice faster. Okay,
I think reacting to that, because I took time to read what the CJ said. Okay. He advocated for special courts to try some cases that are not as, technical based as what we have. And I'm in total...
Who do those cases?
I mean, he would do...
He's the one that's supposed to do that.
Yeah. He would do it, but he can't fund it. He's the judicial part of... he's the head of the judiciary. He can't execute a lot of things that he's saying. So coming from him, I think we can't say because we have a problem and there won't be a solution to it. I think there are cases, if you look at it, there are cases that you have on the road. There are cases that are, domestic cases. There are cases that shouldn't, get that technicalities we talk about. If you delay justice, they say justice delayed is justice denied. So I want to be, I'm in total agreement with him. If that will be, if there are loopholes to what he has said, I think it shouldn't be thrown out outrightly. There should be ways of, panel beating, allow me to use that word, that recommendation that is made. A lot of people are suffering. 50,000, there are villages in the country that don't have that population. 50,000 people.
What we're saying is that...
I'm in total agreement with him. If there are ways we could, make his recommendation better, fine.
No,
it's
the
okay.
the only thing he said was that judges should not use technicalities, which I said is because in law, there was always technicalities. Why? Law is about technicalities.
Yes.
So you're just trying to say that, oh, judges, you're trying to tell judges that they should bend the law just because they want to make it faster, which will not work. That's not law. But what we're saying is that as the CJ and head of the Judicial Council, you understand, let him institute all these special courts. You understand? Special courts and reform the judiciary in a way that they can dispense justice faster. And then if, for example, he's telling us that, look, the judiciary is underfunded, we need to employ more judges. We need to create special courts. You understand? Even if it's going to be in each geographical zones that will be able to speed up things. Let him come up with things that will know that what is delaying this is funding. Not that he will tell judges to say, oh, judges should not delay cases with technicalities. Of course, if I'm a lawyer and I'm in court, the first thing I will look for is technicalities.
Obviously.
And one other thing is this welfare, because when a particular judge, during the course of his trial, I got to know how much a judge, you know, and the remuneration for a year, and I looked at it and I said, man, and these people have so many high-profile cases coming to their courts, and in and out. And when you look at the trial of Justice Ophelia Ajumogubia, and when you see the deposits the lady was making, allegedly making, and everything, you now look at it. This is how much is earning. This is what, you know. Now, can't the federal government just? How many judges do we have in Nigeria? I don't think they have 2,000 across the board.
I know.
They are not.
So why can't
what are you suggesting?
Why can't the welfare be well taken care of? Their remuneration, jacked up, accommodation.
What is enough? What will you say? What will you consider good enough for a judge? All over the world.
Okay, let me quickly take Benga from Abuja.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us, Benga. Hello, Benga.
Hello, I'm Benga. Yes, I want to connect to the program.
All right, go ahead, Benga. You're on there.
Yes, I want to join the two issues I've discussed about corruption and the issue of the judges. Not use technique. Yes. So you see about the plea bargain. I want to let you know that plea bargain is the best way to deal with the issue we have in Nigeria. Because to make the punishment stiffer, as one of the journalists there has recommended, may not be possible. Because the people that will do the law, when the secretary send the bill to National Assembly, those who are there, they will not want to make the law stiffer because they know that tomorrow they will be a victim. They will be a suspect. So because of that, it will be impossible to make the punishment for corruption more stiffer. Because I'm saying, or recommend a capital punishment for corruption. Okay. And for the issue of technicalities in the judges, we have to let you know that, number one, once somebody has money, he stole 10 billion, as your colleague has said, he can use any money out of that 10 billion to make sure that he gets out of the case. So that our legal system has to be strengthened.
All right, thank you, Benga. Thank you for your contribution. You made your point on those two subjects, strengthening the legal system. Before Benga,
yes,
you're making a point. We're talking about remuneration and take home for the judges.
I was going to say that it can never be enough, because in nowhere in the world will you find that public service, people in public service are the highest paid. If you go to America, the president is not the highest paid, the judges are not the highest paid, policemen are not the highest paid, you know. So in public service,
but at least they will be comfortable.
Yes, and I don't think that Nigerian judges are. I don't think that they are the poorest people. They are the most wretched in society. That you can improve, but my worry is what will be enough. You know, what will be enough? You can never get to the point where you will pay a judge enough. If a judge is already a corrupt judge, he has that in the mind of being corrupt. You will never get to the point where you give him enough and he will stop being corrupt. You know, so it now becomes a question of each person's character, you know, and each person understanding what his role is as a judge in society. So the government can only do so much, you know. But as for, I don't think the issue is the issue of whether they are giving them enough money. That's why they are succumbing to corruption and all that, all of that.
I think that's part of it. In fact, that's
That's
the cross of
for
it.
you to look at technicality.
You know what that's the cross of it? Why that's the cross of it is that I don't see, for example, why a Supreme Court judge, for example, should earn less than a member of the National Assembly. It's because we don't get our priorities right. So if somebody is head of an appellate court and he handles, let's say,
election tribunal, election petition tribunal, you can make
you understand?
The governor,
and somebody can mobilize
remove a
10
governor
billion or 15 billion to influence you. You will be tempted to do that because you're not comfortable. You have to get to a particular point for you to be able to say, I am okay with what I'm not saying they should be rich. But they should be very comfortable until lately. And I think it was when the acting president was commissioner in Lagos State. That's when it started. That's when they started now giving judges cars and giving them. Before they don't have judges, they do everything longhand. So it is the temptation.
Courtrooms are not even conducive.
They were not conducive. It was later that they were building courtrooms that have air condition. Before there was no air condition, and the person would write everything in longhand. You understand? So the temptation to be corrupt is very high.
Yeah, you see, Mayor, I take your point that their conditions could be better. And but when we begin
sometimes they even owe them salaries.
No,
backlog.
Hang on. It happens to virtually everybody so you now get to the point of saying, okay, who is more important? If you want the judge to be paid as the same salary as the member of the House of Rep, a professor in the university will say, why are you paying? I don't understand why a member of the House of Rep should earn higher than me. I'm a professor.
I agree. I agree. I agree that a member of the National Assembly should not be more than a professor. Okay. I believe so.
So it's but I think that what really drives corruption is not just about whether the person is getting enough, because I don't think that a human being will get to the point where he will ever have enough. We are discussing Evans today now. Evans was making collect $1 million from $1 million from 50 million and so on, but it didn't stop. It kept on going.
That's his business.
No, but it was
can't stop. That's his business.
I was driving him.
That's his business. So but if I'm a professor, for example, and I earn well, or I'm a judge and I earn well, I have good salary that can take care of me and my kids.
Well?
Yeah,
no, reasonably well, and I have a good house to good schools, and I can do that. You can come to me and I will say I don't need money.
A poor man. If we were to use the argument that poverty is the only thing that.
Okay, let's quickly take Musbao from Peter. Peter is calling us from Delta State. Thank you for joining us, Peter.
Yes. Good evening to the gentleman in the studio.
Good evening, Peter.
My name is Peter. I'm calling from Delta State.
All right.
I would like to contribute to your last.
Just go ahead, Peter.
And then this one too. That's eye on the judiciary.
Okay.
For the last one, I think I will agree with the gentleman on white.
Mayor.
We need more stiffer, punishment for corruption, for those involved in corrupt acts, because I believe that the situation we are in this country now, we are in a desperate situation. Things are going really, really bad. And there's a saying that says desperate times calls for desperate measures. I think the gentleman in white understands the psyche of the rich and the elite in Nigeria more. If a rich man knows that he's going to die if he steals money, he will not steal it. I can guarantee you that. That's the mentality of the rich, and he's 100% correct about that. Then talking about the judiciary and how they use technicalities to, wipe off cases and just strike out cases like that. Well, I think the issue of the salary of the judges has to be looked into. But I think the judges too can be very creative. I'm just thinking, because I've seen cases abroad where some judges give some kind of sentences that I feel the Nigerian judges should be a bit more creative in their approach to how cases are handled. That's just my opinion on that.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for your contribution, Peter.
Okay. Going back to the recommendation of CJ, so that we don't lose it, I still agree with him that there are some cases that need special courts. In fact, in the United States, some cases have been tried on television. We have judges that sit on cases, and those cases have been heard on TV. You understand?
No. Those ones are just reality TV.
This is
yes,
that one is reality TV.
Get
you
me
know,
right.
you recommended alternative
Yes.
conflict resolution mechanism.
Yes,
that's
that
like
is
arbitration
a
and everything.
They do that
Thank
now,
you.
yeah.
So the point I'm raising is
We do that now, yeah.
we agree or we don't agree. That I've just
I agree
cited
with that, yes.
is a conflict resolution. And you see the one that the accused and the prosecutor, you see them going home smiling. You understand? So there is nothing wrong if we have a special court for these corruption cases.
No, we agree, yes.
So there should be a special court, and EFCC should tread softly on this media trial. I've not seen EFCC performing better any times they try to, hype cases on the pages of newspapers. You understand? So that will now take me to the issue of Evans. I think while they are showing the world the achievements of arresting a brilliant and the most brave kidnapper, they should have a team sitting down to look at how the guy will be prosecuted and prosecuted properly.
Open and short case.
So that should be
Evans'
the
case is open and short case.
You think so?
You think so?
No,
you
I'll
think
tell you.
so?
I'll tell you why.
Nigeria.
No, I'll tell you why it's an open and short case.
Okay.
I'll tell you why now. It was involved in crime. It was declared wanted.
It was allegedly
It was declared. No, he was involved.
It was allegedly.
No, I'm not saying.
Yes. Proven guilty.
Wait.
Police, they must prove their cases.
He, apart from his own admission, because the guy stupidly is just singing like canary everywhere. Apart from his admission, which is legally binding, you understand? There are witnesses. There are victims.
Yes.
There are victims that paid him, that could collaborate how he was paid, you understand, and what they suffered under him.
And
so his own case,
no,
forget that your friend lawyer. that your friend just want to get a brief.
Yeah.
Evans' case is an open and short case.
So you're not the judge.
You are not the
I'm
judge.
not the judge, but
You are not the judge.
there's no way they will take him to court.
On this same technicality we are talking about.
No, there's no technicality for Evans. There's no technicality for Evans because there's a law. There's a law in Lagos State that says that if you're a kidnapper, you understand?
Yeah.
If somebody died in the course of doing your business, you will be executed.
You will
If
shut
not,
that.
And it's the judge that will pronounce that.
it is live imprisonment.
Shut
It's
that.
the
Both
judge.
ways.
That is when
It's
they'll
either
start
live
telling
imprisonment or execution.
They'll start telling you.
So
the
his own
issue
case
of-
is an open and short
They'll
case.
start arguing the issue
minimum you can
jurisdiction.
get.
Of technicalities.
Yes.
Technicalities.
Jurisdiction where the
And
first
it's
person
the
that
same
died.
yes.
The first person that died.
I said the minimum you can get is to
in
go
the
to
hand
jail
of
for
Evans.
life.
See,
Evans is a short
a case that readily came to my mind is the case of the celebrated case of Clifford Orji as well.
Yeah.
You know where this guy is today. In fact,
he died in prison.
In fact, you could see that. Yeah, he died in prison. You could see that they
Clifford
even
is
discovered.
different.
I think he went
No,
berserk.
he's a criminal.
Clifford is different. Clifford is different. Clifford was somebody that was mentally deranged, that was found under the bridge. You understand? Under the bridge, and then people start talking tales about how rich people used to go there. There is nobody that can collaborate that.
This guy is an organized crime.
This one is different.
Yes,
This one is
yes.
You can
different.
see the money
Yes.
trail.
This one is different.
So
This one attacked
police
the young. This one attacked. His gang attacked the Young Shagro chairman.
Yes.
They killed policemen there. They killed
telling
people.
you,
They saw he was there.
what you are
He
still
ac- he
narrating now,
accepted.
it's the media trial we're
It's
talking
the
about.
media trial we're talking
What you are
about.
still narrating
So
now, it's
the-
emotions.
The police
have
team
now
should
bring
be
it
on
to
the
court,
table now,
Evans
aggregate
collecting
it.
those facts.
Evans is
Bringing
different.
those facts.
I'm sorry, I have a problem with even the phrase media trial.
Okay.
When you have a sensational crime story, it's going to get aired in the media.
Yes.
There's nowhere in the world that, even in America, if this Evans story was on, everybody will have it.
Everybody will be on it.
Television, they will hire helicopters to track his hideouts and all kinds of things. So forget
Police
about
have
this.
been looking for this guy for 6 years.
Yes.
In the
He
last
has a
1
bounty
week,
of 30 million naira.
in the
on
last
him.
1 week, we stopped talking about governance. Maybe
Is
government
this
is
that
doing
we are
it.
focused
Now
on?
we are now
Because that's the
distracted
biggest
with
story.
Evans.
It happens everywhere.
Okay.
So they've been looking
I
for
will ask
6
you
years.
after a year and a half. I will come back to this table and ask you what has become of Evans.
Evans.
Yes.
Evans' case is an open and short case.
Hey,
Take that from me.
Hey,
Okay.
you trust. You so much
It
trust
was
the
the judicial
system.
system.
He's leaving from that place straight to jail. Nobody can save him. All the SANs in this country cannot save Evans. quote me on. You can take that to the bank.
I want to thank you, Festus.
That's him. Nobody can save that bagger. Nobody can save that bagger.
What a sensation! The guy has busted the social media everywhere.
Yes. You know, I became so worried when I saw hashtag Free Evans on Twitter. I became so dejected, and you know,
it's because we've lost our values. We've lost our values.
That is the problem.
We don't have values again in Nigeria, and that's the problem.
That is the problem.
One of the things we have to look at is that we have to get our values back. And I told you, you will see now people that are involved in drugs, that people know that drug barons, they will give them chieftaincy titles. They will call them something one or somewhere. And it's somebody that is a known fraudster, somebody in Malaysia that carried drugs to where he's not supposed to carry drugs. And they were doing party for him in his village. As far as they are concerned, they don't care. It's because everybody just wants to belong. Everybody, because our society is so warped, we have attached so much importance to money. So it is what we can give that makes you to be important. It doesn't used to be like that. We don't have values anymore. If not, why should anybody say they should release Evans, or that Evans is an hero? How can Evans be an hero? A wicked man that will keep somebody for 6 months, 7 months after collecting their money. How can that one be an hero?
I want to thank you, Festus Erie, for attending the program today. Thank you so much. And I want to thank you, Adiola Yusuf.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you. And my Mayor.
How are you?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's it on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight on DSTV 418, GoTV 45 at 11 p.m. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on YouTube. That's youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. See you tomorrow. God bless Nigeria.